Hi everyone, welcome once again to Empowerment Network. As you can see, the house is full. We have a guest of honor. I think some people are new here. People who've been here for a while, you should know Arnold, but he's back with us, and I'm happy that Andy is joining us so that we chat with Arnold together. Arnold, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me again tonight.
Yeah, sure, it's a pleasure. Hi.
Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Hello, Andy. Hello, Arnold.
Hello, Philip.
Hi.
Yeah, so yeah, guys, we're coming up this evening with Arnold, and we have the topic. We know that the heart of Unpassive is that of uplifting humanity,
Mm.
and Arnold does something quite interesting. He's a leader, a youth leader. I can't explain much of that, but then because some people might not know Arnold, I give you a few 1 minute, Arnold, to introduce yourself and say what you do, and then we go from there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Comfort. And thanks everybody for joining us tonight. My name is Arnold, and then I am a youth leader at my local church here in Birmingham. And I also work for a missionary organization called OM, and where I'm in charge of Teen Street UK. So Teen Street is a youth movement, and our main goal is to invest and equip young people to help them become better equipped to face and take on some of the challenges they face in life. So that's the main purpose of Teen Street. We want to invest and equip young people for a better future.
Okay, that was a great introduction there. Thank you so much. And do you want to ask a few more about Teen Street before we go ahead, or what do you think?
So, Arnold, can you tell us a little bit about Teen Street? What is
Yes,
Teen Street all about?
yeah. So the name we got Teen and Streets put together. Your teen street. So teens refers to teenagers, and the streets. When you think of the streets, when you think of teenagers, the majority of teenagers tend to spend their time on the streets. So when you think about life as it is, for most teenagers, the street is where they tend to learn either the good or the bad habits as
Hmm.
they grow up. So if we can take them off the streets and then change their environments, we can help them make a good difference, or make a difference in their own streets. So we don't want them to be completely removed from the streets, but we want to train and equip them so that when they go in the streets, they make a change. They bring a change in the streets. So that's why we
Hmm.
call it teen streets, because we want teenagers not to completely avoid the streets, but to be the difference makers in the streets. So
Okay.
the way we do that is we organize summer camps and youth conferences where teenagers from all different backgrounds they come together, and then we spend time teaching them, equipping them, and then challenging them to be difference makers wherever they go.
Hmm. Wow, I think that sounds interesting. And the whole time you've been making a lot of emphasis on making a difference, on equipping young people, investing in young people so that they can make a difference in their community and all of that. So, what exactly do you do? What education or information do you equip them with? We
Mm,
just let us know a bit more about that.
yes. So first of all, as I mentioned in the beginning, so as a youth leader, and then most of the things we teach them are based from we come from a Christian perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
we want to teach them the basics of the scriptures, or of the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
that gives them a solid foundation on how to live in society. Things like, especially when the Bible says, treat others the way you want to be treated. So these are the foundations that we want to teach teenagers to understand that for you to have a better life, first think how you act and react to those around you. It's those basic foundations of the scriptures that we teach them. And also we teach them to love your neighbors as you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people need to understand what actually love is. Because unless you teach young people to love themselves, they will not love other people.
Hmm.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think that that's important, isn't
Yes,
it? Yeah,
it's
because
very
you can
important.
only give what you have.
What you
So
have,
yeah.
yes.
So do you have any question or comment before Andy comes in?
Um, just tell us a little bit more. I know Sister Comfort was asking you about what you equip them with. So is it just scriptures that you equip them with, nothing else?
No, it's not just the scriptures. So I mention we also do seminars and
Mm,
then conferences. So
mm,
in those seminars, we do tackle some of the key issues
mm,
that young people are facing today.
mm,
Things like identity, you know,
mm,
who am
Mm-hmm.
I?
mm,
And also what is my purpose
mm,
in life? So these are the two key issues that many young people tend to
mm,
struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know who they are. And the thing is, what the difference between human and animal is awareness. So we
mm,
need to teach young people to know exactly who they are. Because once they understand who they are, then they can try to figure out what is their purpose.
mm,
And in those during seminars, that's why we bring teaching to help them understand first who they are and what is their purpose in life. Because unless you understand who you are and what your purpose is, you will live life aimlessly, not
mm,
knowing exactly how to channel the
mm,
skills and talent you have to make a difference.
talent.
So that's some of the teachings we do bring.
All
So,
right.
mm,
Yeah, so before we go ahead, Andy, why we brought Arnold here? Arnold has been, I think this is the fourth time visiting with us here. Why we bring him here is because, like he said earlier on, the world is the way it is. So many young people are going through a lot, and he comes in to support them from his own perspective. We have ours. So what he's saying so far, what do you think? Because we're just saying Arnold should present all of this here because he does a lot so that we know where we can step in as unpassive. But so far from a bit that Arnold has said, what is your perspective? What you think, Andy?
Um, well, wow. First of all, Arnold, congratulations, because it means you've got patience that I don't have. Um, first and foremost, and you say it teaches them purpose. I'm probably more than twice your age and still don't have a purpose, but I'm finding my way, as it were. Listen, this is fantastic. It's a system that certainly we never had as kids, but
mm,
there's a big difference between living or growing up in the countryside as opposed to growing up in a city.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
And those that grow up in a city need help in comparison, um, because, like you say, they've got two ways to go: the good way
mm,
or the bad way, and
mm,
many just get pulled in because of peer pressure.
mm,
So, I love what you're doing. I think what we have with what's going on with ONPASSIVE and the possibilities that Bless brings, with regard to the making your voice louder,
mm,
um, uh, gives people an opportunity, but also many of these teenagers could well have opportunities that they may never find
mm,
mm,
by introducing ONPASSIVE to them.
mm,
mm.
Um,
That's true.
the skills when we were when I was at school, nobody taught us about money. Nobody taught
mm,
us about business. Nobody really taught us about anything that's actually
Meaningful.
important in life.
Mm,
You know,
mm,
annual percentage rates, rate of interests, all of this sort of thing. What debt is. Well,
mm.
we were never taught that sort of stuff. And instead we were taught things like Latin, which we never use, and
Yeah.
and things like algebra, which I've never
Yeah.
used, yeah,
Mm,
and I still can't use.
mm,
We were taught English too, but I still don't use that. But
yeah.
so having this opportunity, it probably gives you the opportunity to be able to teach these kids
Mm,
a little bit more about life, and what's needed in life, and how,
Mm.
I mean, just think about it. I wish I was 16 again and saw and understood what unpassive is all about,
Mm.
because what that will do, or what that would do for me as a 16-year-old moving on to an 18-year-old and having a business of my own and being able to go, do you know what, I can do what I
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
but having the maturity, because it's been indoctrinated in you about the heart for humanity that the company has. Wow,
Mm.
is all I can say. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's my take on it, Comfort.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Andy.
Mm.
That was a
So
lot though.
yeah, that was,
Mm.
it was a lot. And yeah, thank you. I just like the way it's going. So guys, let's see, what do you think? Listening to Arnold, let's hear your perspective, contribute to what Arnold is saying, and let's see how it goes. So Arnold, and like you talked about teaching children how to find their purpose and
Yeah.
stuff. And so Andy is confirming from the other angle that yes, you
Mm.
needing to, like, knowing what you need in life and
Yes.
being equipped, giving all you need. So do you teach some skills, or do you teach everything strictly from the biblical perspective that the book of ABC says that? Do you teach, equip them with some basics knowledge on skills or personal development, stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, so when you look at the teaching from the Bible, so you got what we call this theory and this practical, and the Bible combines both. And so what we do at Teen Streets, we do not only teach them the theory, but also the practical. So you introduce a subject to them, and then you challenge them to practice those things. For example, when we teach them about, like Andy just mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
things like, about life, things like debts and business and progress, prosperity and success. What does that look like? So you
Mm-hmm.
bring the concepts that as human, you are unique and special. You have gifts and talents. But the problem is, how do you use your talents in such a way that benefits you and those around you? So that's where the challenge comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You challenge them to discover what are their talents and gifting. Because the difference is sometimes people get pushed into education and trying to study things that we never use, just like Andy mentioned. It's
Mm-hmm.
about helping them to understand what you like doing and how can you pursue that thing you love doing, and then use that to benefit yourself and those around you. And these are the biblical principles, about finding satisfaction, because God gives people talents and giftings. And then we have to use those gifting to benefit us and others. And I think what's challenging for many teenagers today, they are so easily distracted, or because they've been presented by so many options, and they tend to end up setting up unrealistic expectations. Everybody wants to be like the famous person they see on TV.
Mm-hmm.
What they don't realize is that person gifting and talent may be different from what they have. So we try to help them. How can you use your gifting and talents that God has given you to benefit yourself and those around you? And that's where the practical comes in. You challenge them.
Mm-hmm.
Try to do things you love doing, and see how it turns out for you. Don't try to follow or copy somebody else, because the tendency is most young people try to copy others. I want to be just like this person. And the problem is when you try to copy and compare yourself to other people, you end up it's you photocopy somebody else. So you want them to be original, not photocopies.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, do you have any question, follow up, contributions?
I want you to tell us more about Tin Street, as in how, when, and where does it take place? Is there funding available? What is involved in that? If you have parents that want teenagers to attend, or teenagers that are watching, or that will come across whether the
Mm.
leaflet anywhere, how do they go about this, please?
Yeah. So this year and Teen Street Summer Camp will be taking place from the 3rd to the 9th of August. So the summer camp is like a celebration of the work we've been doing throughout the year. So Teen Street is a movement. So we journey with teenagers from January all the way through to December. It's a cycle, and then it
Mhm.
repeats again. Because what we've noticed with some other youth events, it's like a one-off thing. You bring youth together, you do teaching, and they say bye bye, see you next year. So Teen Street is a bit very different. So we start with them. We start the journey early from January. We journey with them throughout the year to make sure that what we're teaching them is actually being watered and nourished throughout the year. And then in the summer, we have big celebration, what we call our summer camp. So this year, that will be taking place from the 3rd to 9th of August, like I said, and that will be in Lancaster, in Cape and Red. There's a massive castle where up to 300 teenagers will come together from different ethnic backgrounds. They come together and they spend time in teaching and worship and then training together. And then after the summer camp, then we send them home to practice the teaching they've heard. So, for instance, when we had the camp last year, we had teenagers from the Nepali background, the Turkish background, the African background, the European background. So we invest in those teenagers, and then we said to them, now you go back, use what you've learned to change or your own society, your own community, where you live. But sometimes we cannot have access to all those different communities. If we can empower and invest in them, then they can go and bring change in their own societies. Now, in terms of funding, one thing we've done with Teen Street that's very unique and different is that Teen Street is the cheapest youth camp you can send your child to in the UK. So we are charging £260 for 6 days. That includes 3 meals: breakfast, lunch,
It's
and dinner.
really big, isn't it?
And then they get to stay in accommodation, which is lovely accommodation. Now, for those who like adventure camping, we're only charging £150. So that for 6 days, that includes all the meals, 3 meals, 3 meals each day. But the problem is, we're very aware that not every parent can afford the full price to send their kids to summer camp or to be receive some teachings. So we always try to help people as much as we can. So I always say to parents, if you have any financial difficulties, please do not let money stop your child from having access to what we can offer to help them. So we can always offer to help parents who cannot afford the full price. We do offer discounts.
Okay. Does this amount actually include transportation as well?
So we do arrange transportation. So what we tend to do, we group young people from different group where they're coming from. For those coming from Northern Ireland, we group them together and then they travel together. And for
Okay.
those coming from London, we set a pickup point for them where they all meet together and get a coach to the venue. So that way you create a sense of community in those small pockets
Mm.
of the country. So they get to know each other. That's a bit of a basic of teams how we do things.
Okay, so I think something is important because you said children come from all ethnicities and stuff. So I want to know about religion. Do
Yes,
you strictly take children from, because my two teenagers, they were there last year and they're very excited to go back this year.
yes.
So do you take like children from Christian homes because you know them, you know they're Christian, or you take any child, any teenager and bring them over? I think that's important.
Yes, so we are a Christian organization, but we do take even teenagers who are not Christians. Because when you think about the biblical principles apply to all human and they can
Yeah.
all benefit from the teachings.
Definitely.
And s- I mean some of the teenagers who come out they're not Christians, but because of the teaching and the skill that they learn, it does allow them to go back to their own community and be
Mhm.
different and then try to make a positive change. So that's why we allow even teenagers who are not Christians.
All right. So, a quick one before we hand over back to Andy now. I just want to know people who are involved in taking care of these children, like yourself and your team. Is it
Yes.
on a voluntary basis or is it a paid job? Just want to
So
know.
we do have the so we cannot run teen retreat without volunteers. So the majority of people are volunteers
Mm-hmm.
who come and give their time and effort and energy for 1 week to invest in teenagers for the summer camp and then for the other events that we organize throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
So myself and a couple of others from my team, we are on a paid position. We get paid to
Mm-hmm.
organize and plan and the logistic and other things, but everything else like the teachings and the seminars and all those work in catering in the kitchen and those run activities for them, all those things, all the other people are volunteers. So the entire events we do run, we do rely on volunteers.
Okay. All right. Andy, let's cross it over to you now. All of these things, given that the youth of today are the leaders of today, tomorrow, we want a great leadership. And of course, from what Andy says and what we all know, the streets are flooded with young people just seeing and doing what they want. Do you think this is something that you would say maybe unpassive, be who we are, humanity at heart? Is it a good thing to consider maybe sponsoring volunteers so that they don't run short and get more of this work done to keep our young people in the point them into the right direction?
This is a good question, Comfort. I mean, OnPassive is a business that is done for you. So for all the volunteers that you have, they could all be part of OnPassive, and they could have a business being built for them. Okay, so the initial aspect of being able to activate your account could cause problems for some of them. So it's the rest of the OnPassiveans that may well wish to help and chip in to be able to ensure that's the case. And then what they're doing is they're being paid to help out. So instead of them just becoming a volunteer, they're actually getting something that they could put into the system that you have if they wish to. Either way, there's a place for them within OnPassive. As I said, you have a great deal of youth that are, dare I say it, arrogant, want to do their own thing, not interested, and there are a great deal of youth that are happy to listen to hear what has to be said, and those could well benefit greatly by understanding what's going on, and by your system. I mean, all credit to you. I'm not a religious person. I'm probably more spiritual than religious. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is extremely admirable, and being able to help others is what we at OnPassive are all about. So, I like I said, I'm a great believer in that, and there's an awful lot of things that are said within the Bible that make sense. Yeah, there are words that resonate with, or should resonate with, 100% of the people on this planet. They don't, unfortunately, because most people aren't interested in that. But they certainly resonate with me, even if I'm not that religious. But I love the system. I love the way you've set this up, and I think that if you did get the volunteers involved with OnPassive, then I'd be happy to kind of chip in to make sure that they can get their account activated, because I think what they're doing is extremely important for those concerned. So very interesting.
Yeah, I think maybe you'd like to make a contribution from this thing.
I wanted to say some, just piggyback on what Andy said. The way he talked about the fact that we are not taught, finances. We are not taught, how to, organize yourself, timing, your finance. With that kind of situation, those are things that you see that with teenagers, when they get things like that, it's very easy for them to be able to navigate through life. Remembering that, look, timing is very important. Even if they end up going to the university and they know how to organize their timing, they know how to organize their finances. I know there is this organization, Christian Against.
You're muted.
Andy was saying something that is inculcated in camps like this where they can learn about finances, and like Andy said, he's willing to get in. So it will be interesting to see Andy is a finance man come in and talk to young people when
Absolutely.
it comes to things like that. Then if we also look at
Whoa.
Listen, I know you did something interesting, Andy.
But then that's true. That's something Andy can do. Just aside, listen, there is a saying back home in Africa you can't do without proverbs. They say a child belongs to the mother only when it's in the womb. So if you did financial, educational kind of talking or stuff like that, Andy can always have something to say, and unfortunately for him, we know him. We'll definitely pull him over, and he will say one or two things. He doesn't need to come with us on the ship or go with us to Teen Street. But he can always deliver something. That's a contribution. However, I think something came to mind. Andy Arnold told us earlier on about the race, the quick race you did, and raised some funds and did something. I think we need to know this because this is another way of empowering the children to know to learn how to be responsible. You raise some funds through, and I think you mentioned that, so we know.
Yes, we do. So as part of Teen Streets, we do what we call RAG, RAG. So rise and give. So it's a challenge we set young people. So when they come to Teen Streets, we do encourage them to do either sponsored run or to do walking. So each lap is 1 kilometer. And then, so for each lap they do, they raise £1. And then, so they have 2 hours to do as many laps as they can within that 2 hours. And for each lap, they get £1 for either running or for walking. And then by the end of the race, the money they raise is then sent to somewhere where there's a project that's investing in other young people. So last year, 2023, we did our RAG project, and the money we collected went to Ukraine to help young people in Ukraine, especially refugees, those who have been moved by the war. Now this year we're raising money to build a school in Angola, in Africa. So there's a small village in Angola where there's a project that's been set up to build school and provide free education to the children in that village. So this year at Teen Street, we challenge all the teenagers that we come to Teen Street to do this activity and raise money, and then the money will then go to help other young people in Africa. We can build a school for them and provide education. So by doing RAG, we do make them aware of the fact that some of us here are privileged. The education, we don't have to pay for education, especially primary, secondary school. Whereas in other places, education is a big issue. And this year we want to raise funds to build a school and help others to have access to education.
Cool. You mentioned some other activities. Press up, one of them.
What is press up?
No, we didn't encourage them just either to walk or to run.
So all right, I think that was a crazy one. So Andy, I think that again, why Arnold is here, we brought him here based on the humanitarian part of ONPASSIVE, which is even bigger than the business itself, in the heart of the CEO. And Arnold too he's already registered, though it's just that he's quite new, but then he was so amazed looking at our O Connect today and stuff like that. Oh my God, I didn't know it was this massive. So what we know is so much is going to happen. If we meet responsible young people, we're happy to empower as many as we can, because we think that we were praying that they grow up and take the baton and continue to doing that, so that we keep a bit of sanity in our environment, our communities. So Andy will give you the last chance now to make a quick closing remark, and then we'll end with Arnold.
What can I say? Okay, so from ONPASSIVE's perspective, you have to be, certainly within the UK, you have to be 18 to own a company, and therefore a lot of these kids won't be able to set up their own account at this point. But you could set up an account specifically for the community. Yeah, so that it benefits all kids that come through.
Yeah.
And as they start to get older, I mean, look, we could put something together to like a Zoom call like an O Connect call.
Oh, connect.
I swore then. I'm sorry. We could do an O Connect call with guys, so that and I'm happy to kind of explain things to those willing to listen, so that when they are in a position to, they can set up their own thing and be set for life if they want to work at it. So, so it's but the thing is, if they're taught in the right way, as you're doing in this instant, then they're going to help their fellows do the same thing.
Yes.
As they come up through the ranks as well. So yeah, that's very interesting. And well done, Arnold. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I said, you have the patience of a saint, my friend, because I sure as hell don't.
Yeah, Arnold is always laughing. I think that's what keeps him going, I'm sure, because people dealing with teenagers. So do you have any last remark before Arnold takes over?
No, I just like the fact that there's this opportunity for us to be able to nip children, especially the ones sometimes, like you said, for them to find their purpose, so that they don't go through school, and some people go through university and find that it's useless for them. You understand, that kind of thing, so that way they don't need to go all the way down there. So if they're good with their hands, like Andy was saying, there's a child that wants to do business and they're very good in that, then you catch them quickly, then they can actually start navigating their lives through that avenue quicker in life. And like Andy said, they go ahead to, most especially, how will I call it? They attract their likes.
Right. Yeah, so it's just the right, I think it's just the right platform, and it's good that you bring this here, because so many people are watching this, and people just are ready to just go out there and help. And any child is everyone's child, and we are just happy to come into the picture when it's time. And sure, guys, let's just keep pay attention when it's time. Arnold is always here. He's happy to come as many times as we want him to come and share what he is doing, because it's getting us ready to fields are wide, harvests are waiting. We are being equipped with time and, of course, finances. A lot of Mother Teresa's in the house. Arnold, believe you, we are a team, and we can do it. So back to you, and if you have some last word, whatever, encouragement or a word to parents, to children, teenagers, you do that, and then
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I mean, once again, I like what Andy said. So, if we can help them and empower them, then they can help their own community and others. And I think there's an African saying that says, if you want to eat an apple tomorrow, plant an apple tree today. So, in a sense, if we need to see change tomorrow, we need to start sowing seeds of change today. So if we want to see our young people, teenagers, have a better future, then we need to start investing in them today. And I think that's what's so key. And listening from what Andy said about ONPASSIVE, so if we can make them aware of ONPASSIVE and what ONPASSIVE is doing now, by the time they turn 18, so most of those who turn 18 we tend to come back to volunteer for Teen Streets. So that's how Teen Streets happen. So which
Mhm.
means if we can make them aware through the journey while they're still under 18, and when they turn 18, then they become volunteer to Teen Street, they can start using this platform to help others and also to help themselves. And I think that would be very, very helpful. So for me, it's a huge blessing,
Mm.
because when you think about young people, you see potential,
Mm.
but potential need to be nourished, because
Mm.
not everybody that has potential gets to live up to their potential.
Mm.
So that's where investments and training and coaching and teachings come from. And that's where Teen Streets is one of those avenues that help teenagers to live up to their potentials.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much, Arnold. We're happy that you were able to join us again this evening. So, guys, if you came late, we were just trying to see Arnold is a youth leader in a connection church here where I go to church, and so he does a
Yeah, I
lot of
can't
stuff.
believe he's moved to Birmingham.
That's the best. That's where the
Out of
best
all of the
happens.
places in the UK, you go to Birmingham. Yeah,
I think
okay.
Birmingham is the best.
I know this is a young Marty. I know Marty is asking if you are his mini. I think we can say yes to that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, he said a few things like you would, Marty. So that's your mini right there. So, guys, if you miss this, you just want to watch. And if you watch and you find it interesting, you're in England or around, you think that you'd like your child to visit Teen Street, let us know. But then there's a lot we can do together as a family when you see and know what Teen Street is doing, what Arnold is doing with young people, teenagers out there. I can testify. I have 2 teenagers. They are looking forward to August because they were there last year. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Arnold, for coming. Thank you.
Thanks, Arnold.
Thank
Yes,
you very much.
very much enjoyed that, my friend.
Before you go, Arnold, can they search out Teen Street online?
Yeah,
Yes,
like teenage.
yes,
Yes.
we do have a website. So it's just called teenstreet.uk.
Okay,
Yes,
let me put it on the screen. Teenstreet.uk.
yes,
So teen like
Teen
teenager,
Streets.
yes,
street, one S, like just street, like, right?
yes. So
Yeah. Let
Teen
me see.
Streets.
Is
There
that
you
it
go.
on the,
Perfect.
is that it on, look on the screen?
Perfect. There it is. Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, so if you search up on teenstreet.uk, you will know. Yeah, so I homeschool. So this last year, when I was doing the yearly report, I included Teen Street, the activities of Teen Street, into what I did with my children, and I
Yeah.
shared the website with the local authority to see that that's one of the places where my children go, and
Yes.
they were really happy with it. So have a look, guys. Thank you, Arnold. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Arnold.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Arnold.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for having me
Comfort.
again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
And
everyone.
see you
And thank
soon.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. I
Bye.
appreciate this. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye for now.